Hi everybody, Ifak here from T. Today we're discussing how to build your own trauma kit or Ifak and where to save some money if you can't. And then at the end of this video I'm going to tell you guys how you can win one of these little refills, trauma kit, stop the bleed refill kits. Yeah guys, stay tuned. So before we dive into how to build your own blowout kit or your own trauma kit, I just want to make a quick differentiation between a bleeder kit, something like this Medef KISS, or a trauma kit or Ifak, like what I've got here on my battle belt. A bleeder kit just deals with bleeding. I'll link to this little Medef KISS. I did a review on this earlier. So when building a trauma kit, there's a few things you look at. Obviously budget is important. Some of these things are quite expensive. Where I can, I'll give you an alternative that would work for it. And then I go down the March algorithm. Massive bleeding, airway, respiration, circulation, head injury, hypothermia, and everything else after that, or evacuation. For it to be a trauma kit or an Ifak, it has to, for me, that is for me, it has to have those, something to deal with all of those principles. So we'll start up with the bleeding, and every kit I build, trauma kit I build, starts with a good tourniquet. Now there's many tourniquets out there. Some TCCC, Committee of TCCC approved, some not. I'd be very careful what you buy and where you buy. I'd stay far away from any of the Chinese knockoffs. There's plenty out there on the market copying the Softy Wide or the Cat from North American Rescue. What I would definitely suggest you do is go down to our website. You'll see we've got some tourniquets listed there, or I'll also link to the Committee of TCCC. They've got about 5 tourniquets that they've approved with studies. They are expensive, but a good tourniquet I think is the basis of any trauma kit. So you'll see that I carry, this is now my big trauma kit that I carry in my vehicle. So I've got a Cat in there, and if you go to this front pocket, I've got another Softy there, Softy Wide. So what I do like is this is very good for self-application. So if you get one of these guys, very simple with one-handed, tighten it up, close it up. So they're very simple for applying to yourself. The Softy Wides, it's a bit more difficult, but it's doable with one hand with a bit of practice. One that I find is very difficult to do one-handed is the SWAT T. So I don't really like to use this one as a primary tourniquet. I don't feel that on a big guy, especially with a femoral hemorrhage or femoral bleeding, you're not going to really get occlusion that you would really like. So this is a brilliant pressure bandage, but I won't use this as a primary tourniquet. Yeah, so that's tourniquets. Then moving on, then you want to pack the wound. So we're still on hemorrhaging or bleeding. So you've got a lot of commercially available wound packing gauzes. Some of them have hemostatic capabilities in it, like the Celox Combat Gauze. There's a few others that I can't recall right now. Just keep in mind, they are the gold standard. There's a lot of studies that prove they are very good, but they are super expensive. So if you do have the budget for that, I would suggest get about 1 or 2, stuff them in your pouch. If not, going down from there, there's a couple of commercially available wound packing options. You've got the North American Rescue S-rolled gauze, which is very good. It's basically a bandage or gauze that's compressed and vacuum sealed in a very slim line package, which I find is amazing. So yeah, that's the North American Rescue. That's the one option. One of the newer, latest ones that I've discovered, or they're new for me, is the H&H Mini Tac gauze. Brilliant little product. As you can see, these things are tiny. They're very small. But then again, they are much more expensive for the American guys. I think they're about $3 or $4 or $5 a piece. In South Africa, they're about 50 Rand for one of these. A cheap alternative to this is something as simple as a conforming bandage. They do the same job. The packaging is a bit different, but remember, now you just want to get pressure on the inside of the wound, so you want to pack that. So these are super cheap. They're like a 1 or 2 Rand, a couple of cents US. So that's a very good alternative there. So after you've packed the wound, now you want to bandage it. Bandaging, also quite a few different options available. Another good option is the control wrap from Tourniquets Solutions. So these guys are pretty awesome. They've got a little pad on there. The pad doesn't mean much. The pad's irrelevant. It doesn't do much for me. What I do like about this is the Velcro strips that's placed at intervals. So as you tighten it, it grips. So even if you accidentally drop this bandage, it's going to stick in place. So you can just continue tightening up this bandage, which is pretty awesome. Then from H&H, also it's a similar principle to this, just minus the Velcro strips. So also super slimline, very small. South African option is the Critty band. Now obviously you can see the size difference here, and these two are very similar. They do the exact same job, but obviously size wise it's quite different. You see a lot of the size is taken up by a trauma pad that you can see there on the inside. Now like I said guys, the trauma pad's not really, it's not going to do much for you. You want to pack the wound and then add pressure. So something as simple as a conforming bandage or a crepe bandage, just to get in there and put pressure on the wound. That will do just fine. So that covers massive hemorrhage for us. And if you just add those couple of things, then you have a bleeder kit. Okay. Now to make it an Ifak, I add something to deal with airway and respirations. So to do that, the simplest way is you add some commercial chest seal. That is the quickest and safest way I found. So there's many out there. I mean, there's the hyphens from North American Rescue, South Africa one, of the Critty seal. But as you can see, it's pretty bulky. It is a vented chest seal, so it's got a little one-way valve there in the middle, which I think is pretty cool. So they reckon with the valve it negates the need to put a needle decompression, or put a needle into the chest to relieve the pressure that is going to build up. But yeah, so you've got that, you've got the SAM chest seal. So these two do the exact same thing. Both have got the one-way valve on. Same with these guys. So there's plenty. There's the Halos, there's the Bolin, there's plenty of chest seals. I wouldn't make my primary plan to improvise, especially not medical tape with a piece of plastic. Obviously we've all done it plenty of times. One thing I do find that works pretty well is something like a IV Techoderm, occlusive dressing for an IV. So they work pretty well as well. But obviously first price would be one of the commercially available ones. And then if you should have the right training and practice, I would always recommend adding a nasopharyngeal airway, or NPA, a nasal trumpet. Brilliant. Especially if you have to move a casualty quite a bit. So that's not going to be so critical for someone in the civilian field, but for my guys in the security, the police, anti-poaching guys, that's probably going to have to move the guy to get to a closest road access. I would definitely recommend that. And then so that sorts out my airway and respirations, those two things. With hypothermia, I always add a little rescue blanket or space blanket. So this will also work quite well as a signaling device. But remember, hypothermia kills. Your biggest enemy in trauma is hypothermia. It accelerates shock and it will kill you much faster than anything else. So, well, apart from bleeding out. So there's that. And then And then for good measure I just throw in a cravat or triangular bandage, but make sure that you get the cotton hemmed ones, the disposable cheap ones that don't last. So these ones you can use to add some more pressure to a wound. Obviously a sling, filter water, there's many uses for them. Oh, and then obviously a pair of trauma shears. These things are dirt cheap. You get them for a couple of dollars, 20 rand, 25 rand, so they're very cheap. So that's the content. So once you know how to use the content, now you need to carry it in something. Now a lot of guys go out and they buy the most expensive or name brand Gucci, Ifak that they can find, where, to be honest with you, I started out with something like a like one of these cheap Chinese, I think this is an NC style Vism rip away Ifak. They don't last very long. If you're going to stage it in your vehicle and you go back, it's fine. I wouldn't suggest carrying something like that on a chest rig or on a battle belt. I don't think the quality is that good. What I do is I carry one of these little Condor rip away units on my battle belt, stocked with very similar products to what you see there, or you can just throw in a bag. That's what I got, like a little Sniper Africa or Sniper Tactical sling bag. Works great, so I just stuff the stuff in there. But all in all, the one thing that I use the most of all is vacuum sealing. This would be the simplest for me. So what I did, I got myself a little vacuum machine. Seeing as I'm the team medic most of the time where we are, I pack a couple of these Ifaks. As you can see, I've got a tourniquet in there with this one. I've got a SWAT T wide with a Olaus bandage. Now these are pretty cool. They've got the wound packing gauze embedded in here, so you pack the wound and then wrap it. It's all inclusive there. So what I can do there is, if I can't get to a casualty, I can get this out of my bag and I can throw it there. And I've pre-cut the little strips there, so all I have to do is pull it open, or pull it open, I can access whatever's in here. And also note, guys, I've pre-staged all my tourniquets. None of them are in the packaging. Especially in a country as violently prone as South Africa, you're gonna need this pretty quick. So I keep them staged in a way that's easy for me to get out, wrap around, and continue working. Yeah. Obviously you don't have to buy all the stuff separate by yourself. You can buy them in pre-filled kits like this one. This one's got everything that I mentioned there. They are brilliant, and that's the easiest way. So if you're not sure what to get, just buy a pre-filled kit. They are a bit more expensive, but if you're willing to shop around and ask for advice, building your own can be quite satisfying and much cheaper. Alright guys, so as I promised, I'm going to tell you how you can win one of the STB refill kits, the med kits. So these little guys have got basically everything that I mentioned here except for a tourniquet. So this is a pretty good refill. It's got trauma shears, got some gloves, got some cohesive bandage, couple of rolls of wound packing gauze, trauma pad, trauma pressure bandage, triangular bandage, I think. No, and a space blanket. So yeah guys, if you want to win one of these, like, share and subscribe obviously, and then tag at least let's say 2 mates in your in the video, and then at the end let's say the end of lockdown, which for us is the end of the month, we will choose on the 30th, the evening of the 30th, we'll choose and announce a winner of this. Now obviously, mainly for South African, the South African guys will throw in shipping for this. If international guys should win this, we'll chat about the postage, but for our South African guys, postage will be included in the prize. Yeah guys, so like, subscribe and share, and tag 2 mates in the comments, and then yeah, tell us what you think and what you carry. Guys, be safe, wash your hands. Verdi out.